Hello, Tampa. It's Saturday morning, and you're listening to the Let's Go Low show right here on the Big 8, AM 820. Once again, we got another great guest. Chad Arsich is with us. He is the founder of the Short Swing, content producer extraordinaire on TikTok and Instagram. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But, what we're also going to talk about is the business of golf. Chad is a graduate of Ferris State University. He spent many years working in clubs, and I think he's got a lot to share with you. This episode is brought to you by Golfers Unite, golfersunite.com. Check out the board at Golfers Unite for great deals on all things golf. Chad, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. Great to be here.
So I'm a Michigander, you're a Michigander, so we're going to have a great time here today. So being born and raised in the Novi area, and you were in the Milford area and went to school at Ferris State and their fantastic golf program that they have over there. Why don't you take us back a little bit and, tell us about, that school and going to the school and what it taught you. And then we'll kind of get into the working in the golf industry at a golf club and, all the great things about it and some of the challenges too. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no, thanks, Jeff. Yeah, so going back when I've always wanted to be in the golf business. And so, in fact, I didn't look at any other schools outside of Ferris State University. Professional golf management program was where I wanted to be. And at the time, golf's continued to grow. And at the time, there was only 4 PGM programs across the country: Ferris State, Mississippi State, New Mexico State, and Penn State. And so Ferris State was the first, and so it was where I wanted to be, and that got me into the golf business. It was something I loved to do, and things have changed a little bit, since then. But great business, and it was a great program.
Fantastic. Your Short Swing is your channel, and we're talking with Chad Arsich, the founder of Short Swing. This is Jeff Stanislow, your host of Let's Go Low. So let's take a step back. So you worked at clubs. You're now a member at a club, serving on a board. Let's talk a little bit about the experience from Ferris State and, working in some clubs and some of the challenges. And you reached what you call an A8 level, which is assistant pro,
right,
in your career. And a lot of people love the glory or the kind of vision or of being in the golf industry. But there's actually a lot of grind to it. Why don't you tell us a little bit about some of the stuff that you did in your career and the things you loved when you were working in the shop?
Yeah, that was an experience. So like you had said, at Ferris State, I was able to go on multiple internships throughout my experience there. My first one was in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, at Geneva National, which I was in the shop. It was a public course, but more of a resort type experience. The second internship, I was at Oakland Hills Country Club, which right there in Birmingham, Michigan. Also down in Florida, I was at Admiral's Cove in Jupiter, Florida. And then my final internship is where I settled at Ridge Country Club, where I'd met my wife, and I was the assistant pro there. And after graduation, going to Ridge Country Club, and that's where I started my golf career.
Yeah. So where is Ridge in Chicago? You're in Chicago now, right?
Yes. So I'm about 40 miles southwest of the city, and it is in Chicago proper. Yeah. So it's on the south side of Chicago. Great club, Irish Catholic club. A lot of, I like to think of it as more of a blue collar club, but great membership, great experience. And for Chicago, it was a great place.
Fantastic. This is Jeff Stanislow, your host of Let's Go Low, right here on AM 820, the Big 8 in Tampa Bay. We appreciate all your support, listeners. This episode is brought to you by Golfers Unite. If you haven't had a chance, check out golfersunite.com. We have a free membership, and you can get some great hookups on equipment, golf, all different types of things at golfersunite.com. So, Chad, you're at the Ridge, and you're working the pro shop, and there's always kind of banter, at least on social media, about the pro shop guys are like the baristas at Starbucks. someone's so excited to go in and play golf, and they ask the same questions, and the pro shop guy has to answer the same questions all the time. And, just tell us a little bit about, like, operationally wise, what it was like working in the club and the grind. How much did you have to work, and dealing with some members, and, what was part of your responsibilities, so our audience can get a good idea?
Got a big smile on my face right now because I'm kind of laughing to myself. Well, golf business is great. And you're either kind of all in or you're all out, right? There's no kind of in between. And I left the golf business early on to get into sales because I wanted to be a member at a country club, is what I decided on, rather than working in the club. Not because I didn't love the game, because of that grind though. And you have to put on a sales face, and because it's a lot of work. There's a lot of hours, especially in the Midwest. I mean, you have some months off during the winter time, but during the golf season, you're working there 10, 12 hours a day. And I got into the game of golf because I loved to play golf. When you're working in the golf business, it's very challenging to play golf during the summer, and it's the last place you want to be to play and practice after you get done with a 10-hour shift, because you're always having to, you're basically working the entire time you're there. So if people love that, I have buddies still in the business and they love it. They're all in, but it's not for everybody. Great business. I would suggest to everybody who had interest in the golf business, but it's not rosy all the time.
Yeah, exactly. This is Jeff Stanislow. You're listening to Let's Go Low right here on AM 820, the Big 8. And we're talking with Chad Arsich. He's the content creator for the Short Swing. You can check him out. He's on Instagram and TikTok under the Short Swing. Just search it up. You'll find him. He's got a great channel. It's very humorous. It's very fun. It's very real, which I love about it. And that's in essence why we reached out and got connected. And that's why he's on the show today. We'll talk a little bit about building a social media brand around that in a minute, but let's just talk about your passion today is still a lot about golf. I mean, you're doing this because you love the game of golf, and you want to, you're doing it to help people get connected to the game and play the game and grow the game and what have you. But what's your favorite golf course that you've played, maybe one or two? And then maybe, like, which course was your favorite to kind of to work at, like, even an internship wise?
Yeah, good question. So I've been blessed to have opportunities to play some of the top courses in the world. Shinnecock Hills, probably the best at the top. I actually a few years ago took a trip over to Scotland, and I actually didn't have a tee time on the old course, and we went over there, and I slept outside of the starter booth when you could still do that. I got there the night before at 11 o'clock at night, and I slept there. I was second in line, which allowed me to get the first tee time. I was the first tee time. I was a single. And so that experience, seagulls, and just sleeping on the bench, and it's getting, hair on top, standing up in the back of my neck. That was awesome. But yeah, Merion, Maidstone. I've played some really nice courses over the years. And so golf is awesome in that it is something that, you'll be able to do that my entire life, and great sport. And from a standpoint of me, not being in the golf business now, I started my channel, The Short Swing, to keep me in it, because I love the game of golf. I love promoting the game of golf, and just, promoting golf, having fun along the way. That's just kind of my thought process. But I've always have a soft spot for golf. And although I'm not in the business now, just the Short Swing has been able to keep me into it. In fact, even before I had kids and before I had a little bit more time, I had another site called localamateurgolf.com, which I did some cool things here in the Chicagoland area. I hosted amateur events, Illinois Amateur Invitational, Illinois Match Play Championship. So I've always been looking to continue to stay in the game, and this has been allowed me to do it.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that just love aspects of the game. They don't have to be in the business to be in the game, which is part of the great thing about golf. This is Jeff Stanislow. You're listening to Let's Go Low right here on AM 820 in the greater Tampa Bay area. We appreciate you guys tuning in every Saturday morning at 8 to bring great guests on, like our friend Chad Arsich from the Short Swing we're talking to today. Again, check out golfersunite.com. That's our supporter. And if you get a chance to do that, great deals, great opportunities on golf play, golf equipment, golf brands, all things golf. And you can check out our YouTube, social medias, including TikTok and Instagram. Just search up Golfers Unite. So, Chad, pivoting a little bit, now you're on the board at a club in Chicago, and you see things from a different perspective. Maybe just like what do you see that's kind of different, and what are some of the challenges that clubs go through? Usually, kind of expenses are usually the main thing. Making changes and investing into the club and what have you. But love your thoughts on that angle.
Yeah, I mean, seeing it at a completely different perspective now, right? So I'm on the board at Presswood Country Club, and I am the liaison to the golf committee. So that's all things tournaments, tournament operations, the head pro golf operations, that sort of thing. And so I see it differently, and I have a unique perspective to be able to look at it a little bit differently, because I understand how hard it is in the golf business and the challenges that there are, especially from the head professional to his staff, having formerly ran outside operations. I have a soft spot there because it is very challenging. Members are very challenging. They're very demanding, and they're all individualized. And so, when we brought our club professional, Dan Bazaz, on, who's, he's done a great job. One of my questions to him initially was just looking, as I was on the committee to, bring in the head pro on, are you in or you out? Right? Because in the golf business, there's no in between. You're either all in, which again, I have friends that have a very successful career in the golf business, and you can't be 1 foot out, right? Because if you're 1 foot out as a head professional, it shows within your members, and it shows, and golf is running a golf operation, especially at a country club, it's about the little things, and a lot of the little things. And if you're not all in, it shows. And so, that's a big thing. So being able to have been in the business and being able to see it from the other side, because you're right, there's a lot of things financially. We're doing a large project right now where, all new fairway bunkers, all new. We're having to redo our irrigation system. We're adding on to the clubhouse. So there's so many things going on, especially the numbers and the budgets, like you were mentioning, Jeff. That's all a big part of it. But, when it comes down to it, the golf operations are really the kind of the centerpiece for the club. And to me, it's the little things that, separate you from, other clubs in the area.
Yeah, fantastic. I can hear you, especially being in a northern state. Like, if you got to shut the course down for operations, that's a big challenge. This is Jeff Stanislow. You're listening to Let's Go Low right here on AM 820, the Big 8 in Greater Tampa. We're talking with Chad Arsich, from the Short Swing. You can check him out on Instagram and TikTok. Just search the Short Swing. Great guy, great content, a lot of humor, which I love. But back to kind of like, I'm a member at Avila here in Tampa, and we got year-round golf for the most part. So when we had a big renovation a couple of years ago, and they had the course shut down for 4 months. Well, you still got 8 months of play. Up north, you should want to shut it down and put those irrigation systems in, or do the new bunkers. And all of a sudden, they got a 6-month season, and you want to shut it down for a few months. You got to deal with some unhappy members,
right?
And every member is unique, and every member is different, which is also part of the challenge of being in the business. Let's talk a little bit about your channel. You kind of started it with just like, hey, I don't know where this is going to go. That's kind of like where I started Golfers Unite. I don't know exactly where it's going to go, but tell me some of the things that you love doing in your channel.
Yeah, it's been fun. And I don't have a huge following, but I started off promoting the game of golf. So my initial, this past winter is when I started, is my initial thought is, how do I get people that have never played the golf and interested in the game of golf? So a lot of it was being on camera for the first time and seeing yourself talking and cringeworthy. And then became spring and I was able to get outside and being able to play. And so my kids will sit there and watch good golf, and they'll watch YouTube golf, and they'll watch all the content creators. And I'm thinking to myself, all they're doing is watching these folks just play golf and just have fun and do the things that they, so for me, I, like you said, I like to have fun. I'm kind of a serious person, but in my channel, all I'm doing is being me. And so,
Right.
Talking trash and just having some fun, and just when I have a couple different series, but just talking through what I'm thinking in my head before I hit a shot. And a lot of it, it is foul language, and a lot of it is just kind of having fun, but it's very, very real, and I'm just being me. So I'm not trying to be some sort of somebody who putting on a show. It just comes naturally, and it's been a really fun experience.
That's great. Organic works. And one of your taglines as we close this episode out is fix your effing
ball marks.
That's right. I need everybody, and fix another one too, right? So we can have the
That's
little
right.
fix yours and fix one or two more.
Absolutely. And I came up with that because as being at a country club, you take pride in your club, and it just blows my mind how people don't fix their ball marks. And so that was always kind of a running joke when I'm talking. I'd love to be able to put a big sign on the first tee that says "Fix your effing ball marks," because people don't, right, at the end of the day. So it's fun. But
thanks, Chad.
Yeah.
Well, listen, this is another great episode of Let's Go Low right here on AM 820, The Big 8, brought to you by Golfers Unite, golfersunite.com. Always come in Saturday mornings at 8 for more great golf content and stories. Thanks, Chad. Have a great day.
Thanks, Jeff, for having me.